Hey guys, MrGaryBoy1s here once again, and it's that time of the year where everyone makes a top 10 list of their favorite game, and I'm no better! In regards to 2016 to 2017, I'd say this year was a lot better in terms of games. Everything else was like far worse, but we like to keep things positive on this channel, so let's stick to the games. Alright, first, let's lay out some ground rules. Number 1, any game I played this year can count towards the list, doesn't matter when it came out. Number 2, no remakes. Unfortunately, the Crash Bandicoot game that came out this year was a remake, can't include it on the list. And as a side note, why don't you guys suggest me some games in the comment section down below? And without any further ado, let's jump on to number 10. Last year, I tried Splatoon and found it to be a great time, even placing it at number 6 on last year's list. Honestly, I should have switched it with Honeycam, because when I was editing the video, all I wanted to do was play Splatoon. Now the sequel is out. Is it better? Is it worse? Well, let's just find out.
New weapons, maps, and specials with a story mode that is more than just an oversized tutorial. The new Squid Sisters, let's face it, that's what they really are nice, but I do prefer Callie and Marie. It's mainly Pearl. I don't like her bratty personality and her design. Marina, or however you pronounce her name, on the other hand, I like to similar levels as Callie and Marie, but yeah. Splatfest I can actually play this time around because I'm not late to the party, which is arguably the biggest plus the game offers. But if I like the game so much, why is it number 10? Well, to be fair, it's not the game's fault. Blame my internet. I'm lucky if I could get a match in. So I haven't been able to enjoy said biggest plus this game has to offer. But I have recently gotten that resolved, so maybe there'll be another update to next year's list for this one? You never know. Anyway, let's super jump to number 9.
While Pokemon was the bigger franchise in the late 90s Japanese cartoon war, Digimon has always had a special place in my heart. Which brings me to my number 9 entry, Digimon Cyber Sleuth. Well, obviously not my number 1, this game has some pretty nice qualities.
The story is fairly standard, male or female silent protagonist who is recruited by a skilled worker to become their apprentice. In this case, you're a junior detective solving mysteries of various kinds. More often than not, fetch quests. The occasional bland moments are few and far between, and the fleshed out characters add a lot to it. Nakoda is my favorite. Her attempt to put together a unified resistance against the antagonist groups, while exploring the idea that Digimon are thinking and feeling creatures, despite being digital, makes her an exceptional hero. Gameplay has elements of the JRPG genre, and if you haven't tried it before, it would be a good entry. It has the usual leveling systems, with new areas that become available as things progress. There's a new game plus, which allows you to carry over previous game data, such as Digimon, Sleuth Rank, etc., into a new save file. Similar to Digimon, let's jump over to the other side of the 90s anime war, Pokemon, with its newest installment, Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon.
Last year, Pokemon Sun and Moon was my top game of the year. So how does Pokemon Ultra Sun and Moon fall 7 spots, not end up dead to me? Well, it's got some pretty redeemable qualities.
The first big thing is that it feels like Sun and Moon, which is nothing but a compliment. I'm not too far into it, blame the later release date and my schedule, but things start to get different past the second island, or that's where the similarity ends. So I'm told. I haven't actually gotten to that point yet. A lot of my problems come from half my team being weak to water, which has managed to get me killed a lot of times, especially during the water trial. Playing Ultra Moon, it's really messed up. Time has completely thrown off my clock, especially with my work schedule. I've also wanted to get the new form of Lycanroc, and it needing to evolve at 5 AM in Moon. Not very good for it. Needless to say, I'm a bit salty. I've also needed to do so much online research for this game. More than I thought I would, certainly more than the original. But now that I've gotten into it, it's becoming smoother and smoother sailing. So let's ride our Mantines to our number 7 spot.
With the launch of the Nintendo Switch, we already knew we would have some games on the list. We already had one example with Splatoon 2. But Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle, no one really expected diddly shit from. But it ended up pretty good. How?
The game looks nothing like any Mario game you've ever heard of, save one of the darkest corners of DeviantArt. Like, Mario's got a gun! What the fuck? But extend your imagination beyond edgy Mario and see the cartoony aesthetic, just perfect for both Mario and Rabbids. This game plays more like Fire Emblem than any scroller, though it's more commonly referred to as XCOM for kids, I believe. The strategic complications of the game were actually one of the bigger problems I had with the game. As I said, it's basically Fire Emblem, a board-type, turn-based battlefield where every character has a unique fighting style and set of abilities, where defeating your opponent requires choosing each move very carefully. I played Awakening and enjoyed it, but the mid-bosses in the game are a little hard and can be a bit of a head-scratcher. The bosses can still be a bit difficult, but were actually more simple to me than the actual mid-bosses. But I still got wrecked by the mid-bosses 9 out of 10 times. So if you're a Mario fan, maybe stick to a later edition on this list. If you're a Fire Emblem fan, you might just go for this game. But let's use our hero shot to hit our number 6 on this list.
7 years. 7 years since the last true Metroid game. But what does that mean to a guy like me, who up until this year haven't played a single Metroid game? Until Samus Returns. Samus Returns, much like Zelda 2, is considered the black sheep of the family. And I wanted to start the series with one of the ones that was considered great. And according to reviews, this is one.
Gameplay is great from the 360-degree aiming to the morph ball. It's all classic and all great to use. No item or ability feels useless, but everything adds to her badassery, missiles and bombs especially. Samus being geared up does not prevent bosses from being nightmares. They range from, okay, I can do this, to, oh my god, how many times do I have to retry to kill this motherfucker? Thankfully, other elements make it a well-rounded game. And Metroid is known for its non-linear level design, but that's not really the case here. However, there are moments where I'm able to move around the level freely without following the path they set out for me, but eventually you will need to find the path they want you to take. The biggest problem here is that there are moments where you're just not sure where the hell to go. You're just kinda wandering aimlessly, which can lead to your own death without being careful. Which brings me to some unique abilities to this version of the game, the Aeon abilities, which from showing more of the map to slowing down time. Pretty useful, if I do say so myself, allowing you to explore the map fully with reduced risk. At the beginning you'll die a fair amount of times, but the more you get into it, the better you'll understand the levels and the more fun you'll have. Going from SR388 to number 5, let's dig into a sequel a long time coming.
When the PS4 first launched, I knew there was one game I had to get. Admittedly, it has taken longer than I wanted to get it, but Infamous Second Son is one of the best games I played this year.
For once, set in the non-fictional city Seattle, First Nation Delson Road develops conduit powers and sets out to rebel against a group whose ends are not wrong, but the means certainly are. Oh well, the road to hell is paved with good intentions and all that. Delson handles well as the avatar in a fight. You'll be taking down your enemies one smoke rocket at a time, plus other adaptable fighting styles as you incorporate new powers into your arsenal. Your skill controlling the character becomes a part of how you upgrade Delson. In addition to the karma system from previous games, the city too is highly immersive and enjoyable. Not as big as say Empire City, but it feels and looks great. In a few more years, the graphics may not hold up, but for now, it maintains the hazy urban jungle feel the game excludes. But enough about me gushing over this game, let's skip ahead to our number 4.
A Hat in Time is a love letter to the GameCube days of yore. It has a cute aesthetic, with a cartoony, homogeneous flair like a Crash Bandicoot game, yet plays like a Mario game, with a unique flair of its own.
A lot of this game can be summed up as cute, but there's way more to it than that. Everything in this game looks great, and playing it is even better. Platformers are my childhood. Crash, Spyro, Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper, etc. I love these games to bits, and A Hat in Time falls right into that zone, both in enjoyment and gameplay. From the Mafia, whose food is so toxically bad that a third party makes it so no one dies, to the Snatcher, who you magically force into friendship. My only problem with this game is its length, which left me wanting more when it suddenly came to an end. Anyone who loves platformers need to add this one to their collection. And make sure you're on set for our number 3 pick.
We follow up a hat with our next number. It's me, MrGaryBoy1s, and it's time for me to tell you why Super Mario Odyssey is number 1!
Super Mario Odyssey is the best game this year. Have you ever seen a game that looks this good? It almost pops off the screen. The music is fantastic. With so many moons and the kingdoms are a blast to explore. Gameplay is on another level. The control feels so good. And this is why Mario Odyssey is number 1.
Wait, Matt, what are you talking about? Odyssey's number 3 on the list.
Wait, what? What in the cool mountain? How beat it?
Look, I know it's your list and all, but like, you've only been saying good things about... Wait, who are you?
MrGaryBoy1s?
Wait, no you're not!
Copy away!
Okay, are you alright, Mac?
I think so. What'd I miss?
I think Mario was just giving me like a glowing review of his own game.
Gotcha.
Well, Odyssey is not perfect. It has way too many moons, and for some of them you don't feel like you earned them. Like, you get one just for waking up and going outside. You talk to a girl you really like, you get shot down, boom, you get a multi-moon for your trouble. Congrats. Some of the worlds don't feel too creative either. 2 ice worlds, really? But let me be clear here. When the game gets special, it gets special. Like, how is that not a Dark Souls boss? So let's possess and get possessed to break free for number 2.
Within the last few years, I've begun to love RPGs more and more, with this one stealing my heart, and of course, winning Best RPG of the Year. Of course, I'm talking about Persona 5.
Persona 5 is one of those games where the base description makes you want to pay someone to not play it. You're a high schooler, you need to get good grades, you're trying to get laid, and find ways not to be forced to bed by your talking cat. Yeah, normal. From there, everything like the metaverse is super deep and super exciting. From a castle to deep space, your job is to take down the evil adults, both in the metaverse and in the real world, as the Phantom Thief Joker. Your real name can be whatever you want. I'm uncreative, so I won't Gary Star, because what game seriously makes you need a last name? You control personas, powerful spirits which reflect your personality. There's a power limit to them, and taking time to train your low-level personas when you're on a time budget is stressful as hell. But let's forget about the game's mechanics and talk about the most important part of the game, the dating sim. Getting a girlfriend is part of the slice-of-life experience that Persona 5 forces you to commit to outside the metaverse, because it makes you stronger in it. Now, I don't want to spoil anything, but my vote's on the maid. And not just as a romance, people who have played the game know how valuable it is to max her out. Oh, and don't forget pancakes. Shit, now I want pancakes too. I'm off to get pancakes.
What started off as a simple Guns of Icarus game turned into something that's a work in progress. So join Seraphim, Oswald, Balthazar, and their friends as they try to survive a world that's pretty much a steampunk world thing. This is the Guppy Gut Crew.
Howdy, my name is Mitch. I am a Canadian content creator here on YouTube. I love video games, and I'm also a huge film fan. I want to be a filmmaker in the future, so I try to combine my 2 favorite hobbies into one by doing YouTube occasionally. My YouTube channel is called TalentedGeek. Every video I make, I do my best to outdo myself with each and every video. With each video I make, it's always quality over quantity, and I always tell myself, don't upload anything you'll regret in 5 years.
I'd like to say that little balls of dope are absolutely essential to unmasking a psychotic killer and save the world, but...
Speaking of saving the world from calamity, let's go forth and champion this year's number 1.
Yeah, you saw this coming.
If you know the internet around March 3rd with the Switch's launch, then you know what game is up for number 1. But before I go any further, I have to give the biggest thank you to the guy that accidentally reserved 2 copies of Breath of the Wild for the Wii U. This may seem minor to some people, but it made my month. Hell, it might have made my year. I seriously wanted to hug the guy, and I knew literally nothing about him. Breath of the Wild is one hell of a wait, but worth it. I played this game more in the first week of it being out than the first 2 weeks I had Sun and Moon last year. For comparison, For Sun and Moon, it was about 60 hours in 2 weeks compared to 70 hours in 1. Breath of the Wild is a breath of fresh air. The gameplay is somewhat the same, with weapons breaking when giving enemies the smackdown, and maybe it has something to do with me playing Minecraft a lot, but I didn't mind this as much as other people did. The runes are a good way to get the basics of what you need for the beginning of the game, and I like how the Korok seeds give you more inventory space, but 900 of the damn things? Seriously? A little overkill, don't you think? And on that topic, the game does have its parts that aren't that great. The story is easily its weakest point. It feels very samey. It can be summed up in one sentence. A race needs help dealing with the divine beast, someone helps you get in, you do the rest. And that's really it. There was a lot of room to make the story something better, and they didn't. I can see why, but it's still a disappointment. How about those 120 shrines? Some of them are pretty fun, but at least a handful of them are lengthy combat trials. Not hard, but long and seemingly a time waster to add hours to the playtime. In terms of combat, the game totally lacks variation. You battle the same normal enemies over and over and over again, on your way to the fight the various stronger versions of enemies you've already fought. Bosses and the 4 divine beast Ganons, yep! You fight Ganon 5 times in this game! Even with all that, I can't help but love Breath of the Wild. It's open and exciting, breathtakingly beautiful, and suggests that Zelda games are going to be taking a unique turn for the next installments in the long time running series. In fact, don't be surprised if I make a few more videos on it.
So that just about wraps up the year. I'd like to give a huge thank you to LT Campbell for helping me edit the script, TalentedGeek and PhantomFantan for giving me the messages to use, and anyone I borrowed footage from, your links are down in the description below. Anyway guys, I've been MrGaryBoy1. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye!